Hello and welcome to Giant Mess, a sloppy sports and entertainment talk show that covers everything from the New York Giants and the New York Mets to movies, TV, comedy, and a whole lot more. It's hosted by a giant mess. That's me, the Real Cinch Neal Lynch. I'm an Irish-Italian-American who's more Irish than Italian, as you can tell by my tan. And I graduated from a Catholic high school, but I'm not Catholic. I earned a couple of overpriced degrees from a college known for producing doctors and lacrosse players, and then I became neither. And instead, I tell stories. Sometimes they're long, but goddamn are they strong, and are they willing to get the friction on? Yes. You can leave me a voicemail at 862-248-1986. That's 862-248-1986. You can subscribe to Giant Mess on YouTube. You can follow me on my official blog at neallynch.com. That's neallynch.com. You will misspell Neal. You will misspell Neal. You'll spell it N-E-I-L, and then you'll be like, wait, what? How is it? N-N-E what? Just keep trying. You'll get it. You can follow Giant Mess. Giant Mess has a Facebook page. You can go to facebook.com/Giant Mess and check out all the latest and greatest there. You can follow me personally on Twitter and Instagram at Real Cinch. That's RealCinch. I'm not making it easy on you with these spellings. If you can't spell, I can't help you. And then you're currently listening to the podcast, but I'm available on all pretty much all the platforms wherever you put audio waveforms into your noodle. On today's episode, we're going to talk about my week-long plus trip down to Gallivant's Ferry, South Carolina. The Palmetto State. I think it's the Palmetto State, where I visited my sister and her family. Beautiful, endearing family. And my mom's down there as well. Not to say my mom's not endearing or beautiful. She is. Just a little hard-headed. Anyway, we'll talk about that trip. I probably came the closest I've ever come to committing homicide. So that should be a fun little story. So let's get started. We'll start with some life lessons, some life stories. I officially am done with Spirit. Now, I know I've said that multiple times. This time I mean it. There's no coming back from what happened to me with Spirit Airlines this go around. I'm past the point of no return. When you as an individual, and I know, listen, I tried doing stand-up comedy. One of the biggest rules for stand-up comedy is you're a hack, or you're doing hack material if you talk about airlines and flying, because that's what every comedian does. It's the same old shit. Airlines suck. We get it. I understand. Spirit Airlines takes sucking to a whole nother level, folks. I'm talking about epic suck. The suckiest of all suck. It's below suck. There's sucks and then there's sucks. I mean, it's like the scene from Step Brothers. There's sucks, donkey dicks, blows camels in a planet of universe of sucks, donkey dick. It sucks so much. And it's not worth the savings that you get. Because they decide that they're going to a la carte your ass to death. I've talked about Spirit before and how much it sucks on this pod, but I don't think I thought, it was at that point. That was 3 years ago. I talked about it when I first started the pod. It was kind of like, ha. I think they even charge for ice. That's the joke, right? It's gone beyond that now to where it's full on fucking incompetence. Can't do anything right. Anything right. And if you work for Spirit Airlines, you are my mortal enemy. You're my sworn enemy. I don't care where you volunteer. I don't care if you help out the elderly, kids with cancer. I don't care. You suck. You can't work for that airline. Find another airline to work for. There has to be another airline. And JetBlue acquired Spirit. JetBlue, you got to hurry up, dude. You got to basically end this airline, put it out of its misery. Now you're saying, oh, Neal, what? You had to wait on the tarmac for half an hour? Oh, well, no. No, it was, my flight was at 6:25. Okay. Yeah. I timed it so that I left here at around 4. Okay. It takes about an hour-ish to get to the airport from where I live in Princeton. I hop on the train from Princeton Junction. It's about less than an hour to Newark Airport. Hop on the Rail Link, whatever the fuck they're calling that monorail. And it takes me to the terminal C or B, whatever terminal that Spirit decides to infest and pollute and corrupt. And I got there like 5:15, and I know what you're saying. Hey, Neil, it's a Saturday, probably a heavier travel day. You're cutting it kind of close, my friend. You're cutting it kind of close. But listen to me. I've timed this before perfectly, because when you're traveling with a 3-year-old daughter, okay, who asks a lot of questions and needs entertainment at all times, you got to time it right, okay? Because when you don't time it right, it can turn into a nightmare. So I have timed it where I've gotten it down so it's like, okay, I know. They say get there at the airport 1,000 days before your flight takes off. I get it. You need to make sure that you get there 3 hours ahead of time so you can sit at the gate for 2.5 hours, essentially. 9 times out of 10, you get there 3 hours before your fucking flight. You're sitting at that goddamn gate staring at angry, sad people just trying to tune out the world for 2.5 hours. 9 times out of 10, 90% of the time. I got the 1 time out of 10 where Spirit Airlines decided we're just not gonna help people in a timely fashion. 5:15. Normally I get there at 5:15 for a 6:25 flight. I am at the gate by 5:45, and we're boarding at 6. Like I've timed it so perfectly that as soon as I get to the gate, they're like, we're now going to begin pre-boarding. And I'm like, Neil, you done did it again. You goddamn genius. And I got down to a science the last couple of times with a 3-year-old daughter. Not this time. This time you go to the baggage drop, and I went up down, whatever the escalator. And I look to my left to where Spirit is, and it is a line. It's snaked. By the way, I don't understand snaking with the lines. The snaking lines, the snake doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense. You know what makes sense to me? Lines, straight lines, columns. And it's like, here are the flights that are taking off. We're going to do from left to right, earliest departure to later departures. You're going to Myrtle Beach, my friend. You're in that first line because that is the first flight that's taking off. You're going to New Orleans. That's the second flight that's going to take off. You're in that second line. You're going to LA. Hey, take a wild guess where you are, my friend. You're the third flight. You're the third line. You're going to Fort Lauderdale. You're 4th in line to take off. You're 4th in line to get your fucking bag dropped. I don't understand how that's not a thing. Instead, we have this goddamn labyrinth snake thing where you have to look at the same person going back and forth. Ugh. And this line was not just snaked. It was a snake with the longest tail a snake ever did have. It went past every other baggage drop for every other airline. And there was not a single person in any other line for baggage drop line for any other airline. I don't know how this is possible unless they all just decide, fuck it, we give up. Because apparently there's a pilot strike, or like the pilots don't want to get vaccinated for whatever reason, so they all got fired. And now they won't come back to work, and it's like, the air travel is just screwed. Completely. And if I never get on another fucking flight again, I think I'm okay with that. I really am. I think I just would rather drive. I don't care if it takes 1,000,000 days and 1,000,000 hours. It's just so worth it to be in your own space where you don't have to worry about strangers' bare feet, or like kicking your seat, or crying baby, or anything else. It's not worth it. And you save time. Do you save time? Okay, before I get to that, the line, so long. 5:15, I figure this is not looking good, but maybe it's just optical illusion. It's one of those things where you see a long line, you think, oh, it's never going to move, and I give up. So I was like, well, maybe it's a fast moving line, and it didn't move that fast. And I figured that this is how people say, oh, you went to Johns Hopkins, great school, you must be a really smart guy. Nah, I have no idea how I got into that school, okay? Because I'm dumb, okay? I thought almost everyone in that frickin' line was going to Myrtle Beach, which was the next flight to go. And it turns out they weren't. Because when this and I can't use the T word, think of like a yellow snack with white cream filling. Okay. That kind of guy is standing at the front with some kind of like paddle, like a ping pong paddle. And he might have said Myrtle Beach. He just is saying the words Myrtle Beach, and holding up the ping pong paddle. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, hey man, I'm going to Myrtle Beach. Salutations, greetings. How you doing? Does that mean anything? What are you trying to say here? And then he would say, last call, Myrtle Beach. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, that didn't sound good. But he can't see me because I'm in another fucking zip code. I'm in another county. He can't see me or hear me because I am literally at LaGuardia when my flight's taking off from Newark. So, I should have just gotten out of line and paraded my ass and my little 3-year-old daughter's booty to the front of the line and said, hi, why are you yelling Myrtle Beach? And why'd you just say last call Myrtle Beach? Huh? He only did it twice. He said Myrtle Beach maybe once or twice. And then he said last call Myrtle Beach. So he gave me my 3 opportunities. And I guess, yeah, 3 strikes, you're out. I get it. But I waited in line because I'm an idiot and I don't know any better. And I don't think this has ever happened to me before where I miss a flight because of baggage drop being too long. So I wait in line and he starts calling out Fort Lauderdale, and people are raising their hands and he nods and then he keeps pacing his sweet little can back and forth. And then he'll Fort Lauderdale and people raise their hands again. And he just nods and then he just keeps pacing back and forth. And I'm thinking to myself, this guy has got to use his time more efficiently, possibly. Like you gotta be able to give me something a little bit more than that. Okay. You gotta. So eventually he's saying Fort Lauderdale. People are raising their hands. And eventually, after calling Fort Lauderdale a dozen times, he's saying, okay, you can come to the front of the line. And then he did the same with New Orleans and LA. And I'm just sitting there going, everyone's just fucking strolling past me, going past me. So I'm like, all right, at this point, I'm screwed. I'm obviously not making this flight. I just need to talk to someone, an agent, about my options. And so I get to the front of the line finally because everyone in that line is passing me. Everyone. So if you it's like the Myrtle Beach people figured it out. People going to Myrtle Beach must have figured it out, and I didn't. And so I'm like second in line, and he goes, "Where are you going?" I go, "Myrtle Beach," and he goes, "Yeah, we stopped." And I go, "Well, it's because I was at the back of the line, and you called Myrtle Beach 2 or 3 times, and you called every other city a dozen times, dude." And I see, and he doesn't even make eye contact. He doesn't even give a shit. He just turns, he does his sassy little turn on the catwalk. Yeah, the catwalk. He does his little turn on the catwalk because he is a model, if you know what I mean. And he looks, and one of the agents just gives him this gesture, it's okay, calm down. You be the bigger person. It's like, me be the bigger person. What is this guy's job? To yell out cities with no kind of context whatsoever? What does that do? I mean, literally everyone in the line for the entire time until I get to the front of the line was like, what is this guy's purpose? He yells out destinations and then doesn't do anything. And then eventually people figured out, oh, I guess if he yells at the destination and you get his attention and you're closer to the front of the line, then you can skip people, I guess. I was ready to murder someone, and I get up to the agent, and I'm like, and she's, I give her my ID and my boarding pass, and she's like, "You going to Myrtle Beach?" And I'm like, "Yep." And she's like, "Oh, well, we can't take this bag." And I was like, "Yeah, I know, because your guy right there couldn't hear me screaming and yelling and waving my hands from the back of the freaking longest line I've ever seen in my life." And she's like, "Oh, well, if you go to the gate right now, you might be able to gate check it. Just go through security, get the bag through security, and then get to the gate and then gate check it. Maybe they'll do that." And I'm thinking to myself, that doesn't sound right. Why wouldn't everyone do that then? How does that not happen all the time? Why do people even bother with you fuckheads at the bag drop if I can just go to the gate and gate check my fucking bag? How does that work? That's not possible. So I'm like, okay, I guess it's worth a shot if I just run and book it through security. So I take Bree's hand, we walk away, And we get to the security line, and the line is snaked. Again, I got another goddamn snake. Another super long snake. Snaking its stinky little tail ass into the terminal. And I look up at the board, and it says, estimated wait time, 75 minutes. And I'm like, Gah. Then I'm thinking to myself, well, even if I showed up 2 hours before the flight, there's a chance I'd still miss this freaking flight. And so now I'm in panic mode. I'm like, well, I missed this flight. So I call Spirit. Of course, someone who doesn't speak English gets on the line and is like, how can I help you? And I said, well, I just missed my flight. I'm about to miss my flight. What are my options? It hasn't officially taken off yet. I don't know if that helps things, but I'm probably going to miss this flight because I can't get through security in time. What are my options? She's like, oh, well, we have a policy that there's nothing you can do about it. Once that plane takes off and you're not on it, there's nothing we can do. I was like, oh, cool, Spirit. Thanks for the assist. Appreciate it. I checked in. Remember how I checked in? So it's not like I just completely forgot. I checked in. It's just that your bag drop situation smells like rotten eggs, and then your security situation also smells even worse. So just had to eat the ticket, had to eat that cost. And then I was like, all right, screw this. My mom's like, I call my mom, I'm like, I don't even know what to do at this point, because I've only missed one other flight, and that was again to come down to South Carolina. And I was supposed to meet my grandmother at the airport, my 90-plus-year-old grandmother at the airport, and I was supposed to help her through everything with the wheelchair. Supposed to help her, and I just got wasted and overslept. In my defense, I did meet. I was trying to hook up with a woman who is very attractive. I don't know. I mean, I guess that. Do I get? Nope. I don't get any. Okay. There's no reprieve for that. Once in a lifetime opportunity, no. Girl I had a massive crush on, no. Don't get any kind of, okay. So, yeah. And at that point, I had a car. So I just decided, I was just like, screw it. I'll just drive down. I drove down. No big deal. And then they sold my car for like $2,000. That's how shitty my car was. I've never had a nice car. Ever. I think the car that I have now might be my nicest car. It's not even really feels like my car. It's just like my ex-wife's car. It's like her stench all over it. Anyway, this go around is like, well, I drove the car to the Princeton train station, so the car's there. Do I now backtrack all the way to the Princeton Junction train station, pick up the car, and then drive, or do I? Do I rent a car? Because the other option is, just get a hotel, stay overnight at a hotel in frickin' Newark near the airport, and then take the early morning flight. So you're looking at, I doubt that I'd be able to find a frickin' hotel room last minute near the Newark airport for less than like $300. I didn't even bother looking, but I'm guessing that's what the situation was. So, okay, so I got to pay an extra, and the flight would have been $1 something per ticket, I think, $170. So look at $340 plus another $640 mistake. So I was like, I don't want to give another goddamn dollar to this airline, because all they do is they cause me early grave, dude, for sure. They've taken at least, drinking's taking like probably 10, 15 years off my life. I'd say they've done just about as much damage. So I was like, I'm just going to rent a car. Screw it. And this is where I was trying to make a point about, flying's easier. It's so much quicker. If you have to get to the frickin' airport, if it takes me an hour to get to the airport, hour plus to get to the airport, and I have to get there 2 to 3 hours before the fucking flight even takes off, it's another 2 hours in the air, and it's another half hour to an hour to get my bag and to get picked up, and then it's another hour drive to my sister's place. Just drive. Only really losing 2 hours, 3 hours at the most. And so that's what I'm going to do from now on. And it's like, sure, I'll set an alert for United, but United charges like 3 times what Spirit does, which is just outrageous. How do you charge $600 for a 2-hour flight? How do you do that in good conscience? So I decided to rent a car, and you'd think that'd be easy. You think you just walk up to a place where there's all kinds of rental car agencies, and you saw nothing but rental cars coming in on the freaking monorail. And it's just like this. They must be overflowing with rental cars. I walk up to the first desk and I'm like, hey, how's it going? And I see a sign, no walk-ins, reservation only. I'm like, no shot that's real. That's got to be like a secret code or something, like it's a deterrent for the homeless. I don't know. Like it just can't be real. And like the real ones know, like the smart ones know that's just it's a test. It's a fake. So I go up to the lady and I was like, hey, any chance I could reserve a car? Do you have a reservation? No, I do not. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't take you. Yeah, but you're right here. You're a person and that's a computer, and like I can talk to you and you can hear me. So like, why not? And so she's like, so I was like, okay. So she's like, you can make a reservation online. And I'm like, oh, so you want me to just walk like 6 feet over there, take a seat, reserve something online, and then come right back to you? And she's like, yep. And I'm like, okay, yeah. What world are we living in? Why? And this is not just for rental cars or airlines or anything like that. It's like people don't want to deal with people, and I get it. I don't want to deal with people, but aren't we taking it a little too far? Every time you call a fucking number for some business, you never get a person that picks up. It's always some kind of robotic answering system, like a robot answering service, and you're like, you know how much quicker this whole thing could go if someone just picked up the fucking phone? And the reason why people are pissed to you when a human does get on the line is because they had to deal with the freaking robot. It's like, it just boggles my mind. It boggles my mind. So I go to make a reservation online. I think it must have been Enterprise or some bullshit. And it was like, no cars available. And I'm like, well, nope, that can't be accurate. So I go to the next, I think it was like Nationwide or some national, and then I don't know, some other budget rental car service. And I walk up and I'm like, hey, I'd like to make a reservation. Do you have a reservation? No, I do. I don't have a reservation. I'd like to make one. I'd like to rent a car, please. I have money. I want to give you money, and I want to borrow your car, and I'll be good to it, I swear. Oh, we don't accept walk-ins. And at this point, I'm like, is that like a policy of all rental car agencies? Why are you here? Why are any of you people here? Like, if everyone has a reservation, there are no walk-ins, then why are you here? It would just be like, okay, well, your cars are in spot, blah, blah, blah. There you go. We charge your card. Great. Like, why do I need a person there if there are no walk-ins? So I was like, all right, great. And at this point, I'm like ready to murder. And I finally go to Avis, and I'm like, please, God, because there's only Avis and Hertz left. And it's like, if I can't rent from Avis or Hertz, yeah, I don't know what to. I guess we got to go all the way back to freaking Princeton to get the car. Which I guess wouldn't have been that bad in retrospect now that I think about it, because it's on the way to South Carolina. Neil, you are one dumb motherfucker. So Avis, had a car, and I'm thinking, and I looked online, and like Expedia and Priceline and Kayak and all these bullshit comparison sites, they're all like, yeah, you can get a rental car. You can get a rental car at any of these places for like $78. And I'm like, oh, okay, interesting, because so far, no dice. And then, Avis has a car, and thank God. They were like, do we accept, the guy asked his manager, do we accept walk-ins? And I was like, oh my God, why are people turning away business? You're getting, like, this is the easy money that you're going to make right now. And of course, they only had like one car left or some nonsense. And it was a Jeep Compass, not a bad car. I asked for a car seat. They didn't give me a car seat. So I walked all the way out to the car, saw there was no car seat, and had to walk all the way back. And then I had to wait in line. And then I had to be like, hey, yo, how's it going, bro? As some dude who couldn't speak English was trying to argue with them about like dates or something. And so finally I got the car seat, walked back out, and start up the car. And I'm like, all right, this is not going to be so bad. It's like, it's now 8 o'clock because it took me a freaking hour and a half to get a rental car. Sorry. Almost 2 hours from the time that I knew I was going to miss that flight. And I was like, this is not even worth, I'm not the kind of person that's going to, I can't do it. I can't just, I don't have it in me to go up to each and every single person that's waiting patiently in a line and say, I'm sorry, I'm late for my flight. I have to catch my flight. I can't, it's not in my DNA. And I know people do that. And if you do it to me and I'm waiting in line, I'm like, all right, yeah, cool. Godspeed. I hope you make it. But I can't be on the other end of that and handle all that because I'm not everyone, and everyone reacts differently. And the amount of like, and what if you get to a person that's like, nah, son, nah, sorry, but you're going to miss that flight. So 2 hours to rent a freaking car at the airport because you have to get on the air train. Then you go back to before, and then you have to get off, and then you have to go. So here's the thing about the Jeep Compass that I was not aware of. It has steer assist because I start the car and I start to drive and the wheel is just like jerking. It's just jerking left and right. And I thought it was possessed. I thought the car was possessed. I thought I got like a Christine situation, the possessed car from Stephen King, Christina. I thought that was a situation. There's a ghost in the car and it's trying to kill me. And no, it's just steering assist. And apparently I'm a sloppy steerer. Surprise. So we stop at Burger King because we need dinner, and we stop at a Burger King rest stop, the rest stop Burger King. And there's another snake line. And of course it's the longest line. And I'm like, my daughter her palate is not as eclectic as I would like. So it's like, it's either Burger King or bust pretty much. Like, I don't know that she's really digging any of the other options. So I'm like, all right, I guess we have to do Burger King, but there's a snake line, but there's no one in line. And I'm like, but there's just people just kind of mulling about and I guess the word is soliciting. I guess that's why, or loitering, not soliciting, loitering. This is why people don't want you to loiter because it's like, hey man, what are you doing? Well, I don't know what you're doing and it's freaking me out. That makes sense now. Don't loiter. I get it. People were loitering like crazy outside this Burger King, but not in a line. And I'm like, are you in line? Are you in line? And you're in line? No. And then someone's like, actually, you got to order over there. And I look over and it's just like those displays, not heads up display, like order kiosks, basically. And the line is so long. Just long lines every freaking where, dude. And apparently one of the kiosks isn't working. So there's just one operating kiosk. Meanwhile, there's another kiosk on the other side and there are people just cutting and going over there. And so I'm like, should I go over there? And then I'll get yelled at. And then of course a fight will break out and I'm not good at fighting and I have to worry about my 3-year-old daughter. So I'm like, I'm just waiting this line. And of course the other kiosk that we thought was broken wasn't really broken. It's just people weren't pressing on the screen to activate it apparently. So I placed my order. And now I have to wait for the pickup. Order number comes. I pick it up and take it back to the table. Realize, they didn't give me my coffee. I go back. Hey, I'm supposed to get a coffee. A what? A BK Joe, whatever the hell you call it. Oh, okay. And then she just, I think she's like has amnesia or like short-term memory loss because she did 5 other things and she's like, can I help you? And I was like, the coffee that I was supposed to get, I still don't have it. Finally get the coffee, go back, and I realize, they didn't give her milk. The kids' meal milk didn't come. I thought it was going to be in the bag because that's usually what to do. So I had to go back and I had to cut the line, which I don't normally like to do. But now it's like I'm like super pissed mode, super ultra pissed mode. So there's pissed mode where it's like I'm huffing and puffing and rolling my eyes like a little bitch. And that's like DEFCON 5, right? Because DEFCON 1 is like, that's the top red level alert. 5, like the lowest level is me huffing and puffing and rolling my eyes and breathing heavy and sighing and all that crap. And then you kind of got a taste of, I guess, DEFCON 4 or 3, where it's like I actually speak and yell. I mean, I didn't yell. I raised my voice. So that's the next level. And then the final level is just like, damn the torpedoes. Like I'm going full steam ahead. I don't care who you are, what you're doing. I'm like, I am priority number 1. And yeah, I guess that's like what people talk about when they talk about white privilege. Cause it's like, you don't see it from a lot of other people, I guess, of other ethnicities. I don't know. So I cut right to the where the woman is that forgot my coffee. And I'm like, hey, kids milk. And she's like, do you have your receipt? And I'm like, no, I don't know how this happened, but apparently the receipt couldn't print. I saw the receipt print for every other person in that freaking line. But when I placed my order, the receipt machine was broken and I couldn't take my receipt. So I had to take a screenshot with my phone. I took a picture of the screen with my phone, and here it is. And it was a kid's meal, and it's a milk. And she's like, okay. She then turns around and tells the chef, hey, I need a kid's cheeseburger and a small fry. And I'm like, no. I need a kid's milk. Meanwhile, there's a parent next to me who's like, I also need a kid's chocolate milk. And the woman's like, oh, okay, what'd you order? And it's just like, I feel like her brain broke. I feel like she was fielding so many questions. Maybe it was the end of her shift, because like she couldn't process one single thing. One thing. I was saying kids milk. She was saying kids chocolate milk. She's now ordering a kid's cheeseburger and small fries for me. She's telling the other woman, like, what'd you order? It's just like, and lo and behold, it's like the milks are just out there on a display. So if you wanted to, and they can't see because they're like, it's a rest stop Burger King. So they're just like buried in the back of this rest stop with like a thick concrete wall. And then there's an open display, inset display in the wall of all the milks and drinks. It's like, you know, if I were a lesser man, okay, and I'm not saying I have high morals or like I'm holier than thou or whatever, but part of me wanted to just steal all the milk. And it didn't come to my mind until after I grabbed the milk, but I was like, there's nothing preventing anyone from just stealing all this shit. This is the worst process in the world. Hey, let's have a line backing out the rest stop for these kiosks that people just don't know how to freaking operate. Like I prefer the kiosk, obviously, over dealing with the person whose brain broke at the behind the counter. But like other people don't know how to use the kiosk. You should. I mean, it's like you know, you have to pass a test to get your driver's license and drive a car. You need to pass a test to operate a kiosk. So, but I mean, like, it's insane. It took her so long to just tell us, hey, the milks are over there. I can't get you a milk because I'm trapped in this prison of a BK, a BK prison. But the milks are over there. And I was swearing like a sailor on fire at a Jerry Springer show. Like I couldn't not swear in front of my kid. And I'm surprised that my kid has not like picked up on it yet and hasn't been like just repeating me and parroting. Cause I mean, like, that's usually what she does. She just parrots, but she's like, it's almost like she can sense like, okay, daddy's in furious rage mode. Like he's only seeing red right now. So maybe I should, let's 86 the parrot. Let's nix the parrot for now. So yeah, and I ordered, I was like, screw it. I ordered a triple Whopper with cheese. Cause I was like, you know what I deserve right now? Clogged arteries. I deserve it. I deserve to feel sluggish and even fatter than I already do. So yeah, that was that. Burger King rest stop. So rented the car and I drove overnight. We left at like, I want to say 8:30ish. I drove overnight, stopped once for gas at a Sheetz with the loudest music possible playing over the speakers, which I can't wrap my head around why they do this, other than maybe because it was so late. You know, it was like, I guess it was 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning when I had to stop for gas, and they just were blaring music over the loudspeakers at the gas pumps. And it's just like, I guess we don't want people falling asleep in their cars while the gas tank is filling up, I guess. Oh, and then was this at the rest stop still? I forgot at the rest stop. I was like, well, I should pick up some snacks and like energy drink just for the road and like a coffee for the road. Cause it's going to be a long haul. I don't want to fall asleep. And you know, she's probably going to be hungry even though she should be sleeping. And so I pick out, you know, some snacks for her, and then I pick out a Bang energy drink for me, which I talked about how in one pod how like Monster is going to be the downfall of our generation X, or the millennials. Like we'll find out that Monster Energy is just like the #1 leading cause of cancer, but Bang energy drink can get it, dude. And I always get Rainbow Unicorn, which apparently is a flavor. And I freaking love it. So I got that. I got a coffee. And so then I go check out, and I'm like next in line. I get up there, and I'm like, I don't have a drink for her. And so I'm like, do you have apple juice? The cashier's like, maybe. Did you? We have it, it's over there where the drinks are. And so I was like, all right, can you just you can check out other people. I'm really sorry. I had to get her an apple juice. So I then run, forgetting to tell Brielle, like, hey, I'm going to get an apple juice. Come with me or wait here. Maybe I did say wait here, and I took off, and she was in La La Land and didn't realize. So she ended up taking off, and then I come back with the apple juice, and the cashier is like, yeah, your daughter left. She went to go find you. She's not here. Your daughter's lost forever. Congratulations. You're the world's worst father. I was like, oh, guys. And then I went running out after, and of course she came running back, and it was like a very joyful reunion. But that was a scary moment. But it was like, my mind is not operating correctly. It's just not, because there's too much shit being thrown at me. It's just too much, and it was just overload. And I think the woman whose brain broke at Burger King behind the counter, I think it's viral or infectious, because then it's like whatever broke her brain flew through the air and went through my nostril and broke my brain, because I just was not thinking clearly at all. But 9.5 hours later, there we are, pulling up to my sister's place. Of course, I have to drop off the rental car still, but I told the rental car place, before noon I can drop it off, and of course I dropped it off. And then my sister and mom were like, well, you should just come here, take a nap, and then you drive to the airport. We'll follow you, and then we'll drive you back, because we have a bunch of errands we have to run anyway. And I was like, all right, fine. So pulling at 6 o'clock, take a nap for maybe 2.5, 3 hours. World's worst sleep. There's no way I slept well, because I have this rental car hanging over my brain. I got to get it there by 11, even though I said before noon. This guy says 11. And so then we have to deal with the rental car fiasco drop off. So we drive to the rental car place at the Myrtle Beach airport. Okay. And I'm thinking this should be so easy. This should be as smooth as butter, baby. It should not be that difficult. So I pull in, I follow the signs. My sister pulls in, I pull in behind her. I see, car rental return with an arrow. There's a sign, car rental return with arrow. And I'm like, well, duh, that's where the car rental return, that's where the building is. So that's where I'm going to return the car. Where else would I return it? Duh. And that might come into play a little bit later, because I go and I was like, all right, I don't see any more signs about where to return the car. So I guess I'll just park at one of these spots that has an Avis sign. I'll go in, I'll tell them what spot I parked in, drop off the keys, boom, bam, bing, bam, boom. We're done. Walk in, and Avis is the only rental car agency that has a snake line. Hell yeah, dude. Snake line. What? Snake line. Yeah. Snake line. Snake line. No other rental car agency at this place has a snake line except Avis. So I'm like, all right, great. And I'm sitting there going, there's no way that this is the process. These people are trying to pick up a rental car. I'm dropping off. I don't see anyone else with keys dangling off their finger, with paperwork. And then I hear, you need to have your driver's license ready. And I'm looking around for signs, and I'm like, there's got to be a sign here that says, drop your keys here. Now that there are those little vestibules or containers or whatever, drop-off boxes that you see outside, but that's after hours. So once the building closes, after hours, you just drop the keys in there. Do I just go out there and drop my keys in there? No, it's not after hours. This is why you're divorced, Neil, because your brain doesn't work. So I wait in the line like a fool, because apparently I do really secretly love waiting in lines. And I'm like, this can't be the process. So I call Avis. I call the Avis that I'm currently waiting in line for, because I'm thinking maybe I just talk to. I can't talk. I don't feel like cutting this whole line, because I feel like I'll get the death stare, and I can't handle that because I'm a sensitive little puss. So I'm going to call. And of course I called multiple times and no one picks up. And I'm like, great. Cool. No one likes to pick up the phone anymore. I get it. Maybe this is one of the symptoms of COVID. Maybe this is post-COVID traumatic disorder. No one likes to pick up the phone anymore. So then I call the national Avis car customer service number. And of course I get a person who can't speak English. And I'm like, hey, I'm here at Myrtle Beach Avis. This is where I'm supposed to drop off the car. how do I drop it off? Like, and keep in mind, I haven't rented a car in 6 years. Yeah, almost 6 years. I haven't rented a car. So I'm kind of rusty when it comes to like the whole process. And I'm like, hey, like, how do I, like, I have the keys. I'm here on time. I'm waiting in line. Do I need to wait in line, or is there another way to drop it off? And she's like, well, did you see anyone outside? And I was like, you mean employees? Like, there are no employees outside. There's no one outside. It's just like everyone seems to be inside. She's like, oh, well, is there like a box on the counter? And I'm looking on the counter. I'm like not seeing anything. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, why can't I just drop off this car? Like, it was 45 minutes of waiting in line, trying to figure out how to turn this freaking car. And eventually the guy at the counter must have overheard me. And he's like, hey, you don't have to wait in line to drop off your car. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, you come around here, come up here. And I'm like, okay, this is promising. He goes, okay, now go over. Now just wait. And you're going to see that last agent at the end. And I'm like, okay. I go to the agent on the end. And I'm like, hey, I'm just trying to return my car. And I'm not sure what to do, where to go. Like, do I drop in the box? She's like, oh, no, you just go to that first row. And I'm like, oh, okay. And all I had to do was ask one more clarifying question. When you say first row, do you mean first row in this building? Or do you mean the first row in the parking lot? So I wait in another line, the first row in the building. And I'm like, this is a whole different rental car company. Do they just accept returns for all rental cars? This cannot be right. And so then I wait there for like 5-10 minutes. I'm like, there's no way this is right. And I look over and I'm like, oh, excuse me. Hey, first row? And she's like, oh no, outside the parking lot. I'm like, of course, of course. So then I'm walking and I actually see an Avis employee, and I walk up to him and I have my driver's license out in the paperwork because I don't know what the process is, dude. It's been 6 years. All right. A lot of shit's gone down 6 years. I don't know if you could tell. I got engaged, married, had a kid, and divorced. Okay. 6 years. Doesn't sound like a lot. A lot can happen. So the guy's like, why do you have your driver's license? And I was like, because you know what, bro, I've been waiting in line. I overheard, like, just tell me what to do. Where do I return the car? And he's like, where'd you park it? And I'm like, it's D7. And he's like, oh, well, you got to go right there where those 3 people are. And then just walks off. Doesn't even let me register what he said, and like doesn't let me ask a question. So I walk over and there's just no one there. Absolutely no one there. So then I go, I don't see anyone. I see 3 civilians. It looked like 3 just people in regular clothes. It doesn't look like employees of any kind of rental car agency. So I go, I'm like, all right, I don't know. I guess I'll just pull up. I do see a line now that I look. I do see a line. I get the car. I pull out. I pull around. And I wait in line. And these 2 people are looking at me. And I'm like, are you an employee? Because you're not wearing any kind of Avis clothing. And there's nothing on your clothing that says Avis. What are we doing here? What are we doing? So finally, the guy is like looking at me weird. And then he like comes over to my window, and I roll down the window, and he's like, hey, what's up? And I was like, yeah, I'm just trying to return a car. And he's like, oh, you're returning it here? And I was like, yes. And he's like, oh, well, I don't know if you should be here. And I'm like, oh my God, dude, who are you? Do you work here? Are you an employee? And then all of a sudden there's this other guy who walks up and not wearing any kind of Avis clothing that says, hey, I work for Avis. It's just like a dude in a t-shirt and a do-rag. And I'm just like, and I roll down my window. I'm like, hey. And he's like, pull over here, pull up here. And I'm thinking, none of this looks official. None of this looks official. Where's the one guy that was wearing the Avis shirt? Where the fuck did that old motherfucker go to? I pull up. This guy literally takes out a barcode scanner, laser cannon gun, scans a barcode, and he's like, you're good. That's it. That's how you do it. Ah, how easy. I can't believe I made it, whatever. Yeah, so I'm gonna end that here. That's part 1 of the saga, the quest, the journey down to South Carolina. Part 2 will probably come a little bit later. It's getting kind of late. The sun's getting real low. So much more to do. And that's literally one day. That's not even one day. So I got a whole handful of days to go with all kinds of stories coming down the pike. So hold on to your freaking underwear, Brosif and Brosofinas. And until next time, adios, muchachos.